This is the story of a secret priest in the Karnak temple. Let me tell you his tale. Our story begins in the year 1279 BC in the ancient city of Thebes. Ancient Thebes was one of the most powerful cities in the world. It was known for its strong military, its wealth, and its advanced culture. But behind its mighty walls, something sinister was brewing. In the temple of Ammon, the priests had been hiding something from the pharaoh. They had found a scroll that revealed a dark secret that threatened to destroy the very foundations of their society. The high priest, Mentuhotep, was a cunning and ruthless man who would stop at nothing to protect the temple's secrets. He had been in his position for many years, and his power was absolute. The priest had chosen him because he was not only intelligent and ambitious, but also because he knew how to manipulate the pharaoh and keep him in the dark about their activities. Meanwhile, Amenhotep III, the pharaoh, was a kind and generous ruler who loved his people dearly. He was known for his wisdom and justice, but he was also naive and easily manipulated. The priests had grown tired of the pharaoh's meddling in their affairs, and they saw an opportunity to finally get rid of him. One day, while the pharaoh was visiting the temple of Ammon, the priests decided to put their plan into action. As Amenhotep III entered the sanctuary, the priests closed the doors behind him and began chanting in a low voice. The pharaoh was confused and scared, but before he could react, they attacked him. The priests were strong and swift, and soon the pharaoh was overpowered. They bound him with chains and dragged him away. But there was one priest who felt guilty about what was happening. His name was Sarenput, and he was one of the younger priests who had been taken under Mentuhotep's wing. Sarenput had always been curious about the temple's secrets, and he had been eager to learn more about the dark rituals that went on there. But when he saw the pharaoh being mistreated, he knew he had to do something. That night, Sarenput snuck into the treasury and stole the scroll that contained the temple's darkest secrets. He hid the scroll in a secret compartment in his apartment where he planned to read it in secret. But he didn't know that he was being watched. Mentuhotep had sent his spies everywhere to find the scroll, and one of them had seen Serebit taking it. Now the high priest was on his way to Serebit's apartment, and the young priest knew he had to get rid of the scroll somehow. He took the scroll and ran out into the night, making his way through the dark and narrow streets of Thebes. Behind him, Mentuhotep's men were closing in, and the chase was on. Sarenput ran as fast as he could, but his pursuers were gaining on him. He could hear their footsteps pounding behind him, and he knew he had to get away. Suddenly, he spotted a small boat in the distance and jumped into it. The boat was old and rickety, but it was his only chance. He paddled out into the middle of the river and hid among the papyrus plants. There, he waited until the moon had passed and his pursuers had gone. Then he made his way back to the city. Sarenput had escaped, but Mentuhotep was not ready to give up. The high priest was furious that the scroll had been stolen, and he was determined to get it back. He assembled a team of the most skilled trackers in Thebes and sent them after Sarenput. And so, the hunt continued. Sarenput was a clever young man, and he used his knowledge of the city's secret passages to evade his pursuers. He moved from one hiding place to another, always staying just out of reach of his captors. But as time passed, he began to feel the weight of the scroll he carried. It was not just a burden physically, but emotionally as well. He knew that the secrets it held were dangerous, and he feared what might happen if they fell into the wrong hands. One day, Sarenput was hiding in the great temple of Karnak when he heard a group of priests talking. They were discussing Mentuhotep's plan to take over the city and install a puppet pharaoh. Sarenput was horrified. He knew he had to do something to stop them. But what? Then he remembered the scroll. If the priests were planning to seize the throne, then the pharaoh would be in danger. Sarenput had to warn him, but how could he get close enough to do that? Sarenput had an idea. He decided to disguise himself as a priest and infiltrate the temple. He put on a white robe and a blue crown and joined the ranks of the priests. For weeks he listened to the priests' plans, waiting for the right moment to strike. Finally, he heard what he was waiting for. The priests were going to attack the pharaoh while he was visiting the temple of Luxor. That night, Sarenput warned the pharaoh, who was surprised and grateful for the information. The pharaoh was prepared for the priests' attack, and they were caught off guard. The pharaoh's guards were able to stop the priests from carrying out their plan, and Mentuhotep was arrested. The pharaoh was angry and suspicious, and he questioned the priests about their plot. Sarenput knew he had to convince the pharaoh that he was innocent, so he took a risk. He confessed that he had found a secret scroll and had tried to warn the pharaoh about the priests' plans. He told the pharaoh everything he knew about the temple's secrets and the priests' conspiracy. At first, the pharaoh was hesitant, but as Sarenput spoke, he became convinced. He realized that the priests had been lying to him for years, and he was grateful to Sarenput for exposing them. The pharaoh thanked Sarenput for his bravery and loyalty, and he rewarded him with a noble title and a place in the royal court. From that day on, Sarenput became the pharaoh's right-hand man, and he helped to reform the priesthood and bring more transparency to the temple. But some say that the secret scroll was never recovered, and the secrets it held still lie hidden somewhere in the ancient city of Thebes. The ancient city of Thebes was a bustling center of trade and culture. Its streets were filled with merchants, artisans, and pilgrims from all over the known world. The heart of the city was the massive Karnak temple complex, dedicated to the Theban god Ammon. The temple was a sprawling labyrinth of pylons, hypostyle halls, and sanctuaries, and it was surrounded by a high wall that enclosed a sacred precinct. Within the temple walls, the air was thick with the scent of incense and the sound of chanting priests. The great hall of Karnak was a place of mystery and wonder, where the light filtered through the tops of towering columns, creating a mesmerizing play of shadows on the temple floor. The vastness of the space was overwhelming, and visitors from other lands often marveled at the ingenuity of the ancient builders who had created such a magnificent structure without the aid of modern technology. But not all was well in this seemingly idyllic city. In the depths of the temple, hidden from the prying eyes of worshippers and scholars alike, lay a dark secret. The high priest, Mentuhotep, was a man of great power and influence. He had risen to the top of the priesthood through a combination of cunning, ambition, and ruthlessness, and now he wielded his power to keep a dangerous secret buried. One day, while exploring the temple, a young priest named Sarenput stumbled upon a hidden chamber containing a collection of ancient scrolls. Among them was a prophecy that foretold the downfall of Thebes and the death of the current pharaoh. Mentuhotep, fearing that the prophecy would disrupt the fragile peace of the city, ordered the scrolls to be destroyed. But one scroll, too damaged to decipher, was overlooked and saved. As the years passed, the prophecy consumed Sarenput's thoughts. He knew that the secret it contained could change the fate of Thebes. But he was also afraid of the consequences of revealing it. Torn between his duty to the temple and his desire to do what was right, Sarenput found himself in a race against time. With Mentuhotep growing increasingly paranoid and desperate to maintain his power, Sarenput must decide what to do with the scroll and what role he will play in the fate of ancient Thebes. And so ends our tale. What would you have done if you were the priest Sarenput? Do you dare to uncover the rest of the story?